Hi church, my name's Donna. The other day something happened that gave me a reason to ponder and something to think about, and I wanted to share that with you today. So I was driving the girls home from school, and first of all, I like to think of myself as a reasonably good driver, safe driving most of the time, but something happened on the way home from school, and it was only minor, but it gave me something to think about. I was travelling down or up Mackay Road, and so there's two lanes, and I needed to change lanes, and I thought I'd done a head check. I'd indicated and started to change lanes, and I heard a toot from behind me, and obviously I hadn't seen someone. Their car was just behind me, and obviously I'd cut them off, but the person behind me didn't do a big loud to show how angry they were. There was just a little kind toot. And I've looked in my rear vision mirror and thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? And then I'm signalling profusely, sorry, waving and trying to show how sorry I was for the mistake and how I was appreciative of them being observant and made room for me. But as we were pulling up to the lights a little bit further down the road, the car behind me had come up next to me, and I'm still signaling out the window, I'm sorry. And the lady in the car next to me, who'd been the one I'd cut off, turned around and gave me a big, broad smile and a thumbs up. It's okay. And I was surprised. I was really surprised. Her response to my mistake was just kindness. She wasn't angry. There was no road rage. There was no, you idiot driver. There was none of that. She just smiled at me, and I was surprised. I was really surprised. It was an undeserved act of kindness, and it made me happy, but it gave me something to think about. I went to bed that night, and I'm lying there thinking about God's kindness and how God's kindness to me is something that I live out of, and it is so undeserved. There's nothing I could do to earn it. There's nothing I could do that would cause God to owe me anything. He does it because of who He is. He loves me. And I was reading the next morning in Titus, and so Paul's writing a letter to Titus, who's leading a church, and he's writing to him reminding Titus and the people that will read the letter that God's kindness to us in Jesus is a love and a kindness that is completely undeserved. And in Titus chapter 3, verses 3 and 4 particularly, he says that it's a display of who He is in His act of kindness in sending Jesus to save us, and that it's for the whole world. And each one of the little bits in Titus, there's a couple of them, and one of them is called doing good and not giving up doing good. And I'm just, as my brain does, started to whir and to ponder and to think. And I was drawn back to a verse that had stuck in my mind a while ago, and it's from 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse 3. And in there, King David is asking one of Saul's servants, was there anyone left from the family of Junortoun that he could show God's kindness to? And it made me think, who am I showing God's kindness to? How am I living out of what God's given me and showing the world that through my acts of kindness? And I was just really struck. This lady's little tiny response to me had given me a cause to think about who God is. And I was wondering, what am I doing that's causing someone else to thank God and to think about who He is? And one of my favourite verses is Proverbs 3:27, and I'm going to paraphrase it. This is completely my own translation. Whenever it's possibly, or whenever you possibly can, do good to those who need it. And it's something that's stuck with me, and I've thought about a lot. It's one of those ones where there's no contingencies, there's no extenuating circumstances, it's just whenever you possibly can, do good to those who need it. And there's never going to be a time when I possibly can't, or a time when there's going to be someone who doesn't need it. So kindness is something that I can do all the time because it's who God is. It becomes who I am. It's not an act. We hear about random acts of kindness, but they're very hard to generate out of ourselves because we're not innately kind, but God is. And when we live out of who God is and who He's created us to be, and when He's saved us, we've got so much to be thankful for. We live out of that and we display Him to the world around us. So as I was thinking about kindness and God's kindness to me and how I live out of that, I also came across a great quote. And it's from a rabbi, and I'll read it because I won't remember it very well. And it says, Do things for people, not because of who they are or what they do in return, but because of who you are. Now, the world's very lucky that I'm not doing things because of who I am. The world's very lucky or blessed because I'm doing things out of who God has made me to be. So today, I just wanted to encourage you, whenever you possibly can, with whatever you've possibly got, do good to the people around you. Do good because of the good God's done for you. If you call him Lord, if you call him Saviour, if you're at all grateful for what he's done for you, I'd encourage you to live out of that. Our small, random acts of kindness that flow out of who we are have the ability to show the world who God is. Thanks for listening to me ramble. It's lovely to be with you again, church. God bless.